Welcome to the second in the series of Connect Tech webinar. My name is Ping Gao, and this is your opportunity to connect with our alumni who earned their masters at University of Northern Iowa. And today, we are going to meet two technologies integration specialists, both from the K-12 settings and here from UNI. We are going to have a series small webinar in late April and May, and they will be beginning in the noon, so we will have more webinars in the fall semester. Each webinar will start from noon, so you have enough time to engage the conversation with our alumni when you munch your chicken salad. Before we start, we would like to express our sincere appreciation for the wonderful people in Iowa Distance Learning Association. Last year, they supported this project through a special grant, and we are grateful for their support and effort. And the people who make this a reality is our one and only Nikki Royce. She is a grad student in our Instructional Technology program and has been heading this effort. She has been assisted by some other students, but I will let her to tell you what she has done.
Thank you, Ping.
Without further discussion, okay, allow me to throw this over to Nikki.
Hi, everyone. As Ping said, my name is Nikki Lyons, and I am a graduate student here at the University of Northern Iowa. Before we really get started, there are a couple of things that I want to show you. When we have finished the webinar today, we would like to ask everyone to fill out the Connected Tech webinar feedback form. We'll post the link at the end of our webinar so that you all can see it. We just need to get a little feedback from you so that we know how we can make a better webinar series for you. I also want to show you inside of our chat window that at the bottom of your screen you'll see a chat box. If you have any questions that you'd like to ask our tech integration specialists during the webinar, you can type them into the group chat, or if you want, you can simply raise your hand. I'll be watching the gallery view and you can ask them yourself. I also want to stress to everyone that this webinar will be recorded. It's being recorded so that we can publish it on YouTube under Creative Commons and make it available to members of the public so that they can also watch it and see it later, and it'll be archived. So if you would not like your image on the screen, it's fine. You can end your video and you'll just have a blank face, okay? So today's webinar is going to feature some technology integration specialists. We have with us Farah Kashef, and we also have Catherine Hines. And I would just like to welcome both of them and welcome all of you. So to start off, I'll begin with Farah. And I just want to know, who are you and what is it that you do?
Hey, my name is Farah Kashef. I'm the Faculty Technology Integration Specialist for the College of Ed. This is a new position through ITS at UNI that was created that was proposed for different colleges, and College of Education was the first one that welcomed this position. So here I am.
Welcome, Farah. Cathy, how about you?
Yeah, my name is Catherine Hines. I am a tech integrationist at South Hamilton Community Schools. South Hamilton Schools is located in Jewell, Iowa, which is in central Iowa. We're 20 miles north of Ames. This is a new position. They created it last fall or last spring, and I was lucky enough to get this job. My focus this year has been K-6 instructional technology. I have done some 9/12 work also, and so that's a little bit about me. I am a UNI grad. Go Panthers!
Oh, Cathy, when did you graduate from UNI?
Originally, in 1988. Yes, I'm that old. And so, yeah, I did my undergrad work there from 86 to 88, did my junior and senior year. And then I went back and got my master's starting in 2010 and finished in 2012 with the UNI iTech program, Instructional Technology program. And without that master's, I wouldn't have even got an interview for this job. So it's been really great. Even though I went back later, I'm really glad I went back and got my master's.
Okay. One question that we have for you is, what does your daily schedule look like? So when you come to work in the morning, what is it that you do? Farah, I'll start with you.
Okay. Well, the first thing I do is to check my emails and my messages on the phone. Then my day starts answering emails, answering phone calls, meetings, lots of meetings, workshops here and there, constant learning and sharing with others, and basically informing faculty about different opportunities.
Okay. Catherine, how does your daily schedule look?
Well, that's one of the things I really like about this job is that my daily schedule looks different every day. Google Calendar is definitely my friend because Google Calendar keeps me moving hopefully to the right place at the right time. So I meet with each age level group, each grade level, once a week on Mondays and plan my tech integration for the week, a lot on Mondays, but and so that can go out for weeks at a time. So I do have my calendar on Google, on a Google Calendar, and then I share it with all my staff, so my staff knows where I am. It's also shared on the website, so they can go to the website and find out where I am if they can't figure that out. So some days I do have a regular scheduled tech time schedule that I work with, so I'm in every class at least once a week, but that is secondary to a project. So if a teacher has an integration project that they want to work on and that conflicts with my scheduled tech time in an elementary classroom, it supersedes it. So at the beginning of the year, we started with their tech time in every classroom to get me to know the kids, get them to know me, and teachers to know me, because I didn't know anyone when I started. And that time has less and less, and integration has taken over more and more. So, and the other great part is I'll be with kindergartners in the morning and sixth graders in the afternoon. It really varies from day to day.
And the same thing is true for me and Google Calendar. I don't think I can survive without it, without the notifications and reminders of my Google Calendar. So yeah.
So, Farah, would you say that you work a lot collaboratively with others, or that you work more individually?
Well, absolutely collaboratively, because I mean, my job doesn't mean anything individually. I work collaboratively with ITS staff and College of Ed's IT staff, and people in the ERTS lab. ERTS stands for Instructional Resources and Technology Services, as well as staff at the Excellence for Teaching and Learning. These are the immediate people I collaborate with, and faculty, of course. And there are some other services, such as like being involved in different committees, such as the website committee or the technology committee, that are kind of on the side.
Okay. So, Catherine, when you are working with the teachers in the different grade levels, do you work more collaboratively with them as far as integrating the technology into their lessons, or do they kind of tell you what it is they need and you bring it to the table?
Both, actually, both occur. As I work, sometimes they have an idea and they ask me to find a good tech tool that would work for them. Sometimes they've even heard of a tech tool and they just want me to come in and help it. They found the tool and they just want an extra set of hands. When you're working with elementary kids, you really, you need another adult in the room when you're working with kindergartners and first graders. So, but definitely, like Farah said, without collaboration, I wouldn't have a job. It's really about collaboration. And that's, I think, the big perk of it is I get to go in with all these other teachers and see them work with their students, learn from them, how they interact with their students, and then support them. My role, I always tell them, is to empower you to be a better teacher. And however it is that I can empower them, whether it's to find the tech tool, whether it's to assist them to integrate a tech tool, that's what I'll do. And it happens both ways. It happens a myriad of ways every day. It's great.
Farah, would you say that you bring more to the table, or is that teachers ask you to collaborate more with them?
Well, there are technologies that Central ITS supports. They have purchased it and they support it. And my role is to make sure that the faculty know about it and that they use it properly. So I have to make sure that these technology are used to remove the barriers for them to teach better and to connect better with their students. And because I'm not just for the Central ITS, but also for the College of Education, I also have to learn about the technologies that they would use and offer to their own students as future teachers. So besides what ITS, our Central ITS supports, I have to constantly learn about the faculty's individual needs for their students. So in that aspect, I have to learn more of what just the job description said.
Okay, so in order to, I guess, kind of show faculty the new technologies, do you have to make a lot of time for professional development on your own? Or is it, there's time allocated through your day, Farah, so that you can figure out about the technologies yourself?
Technically, I have to, it should be included during your work hours, but it doesn't always happen that way. Most of the time, I try to get the best use of my time at work, but sometimes I have to do those professional development and the hours that I put towards learning a technology at home. So, or maybe it's like that because I just started this job 8 months ago, and as it progresses, I may, not need to spend so much time at home learning different things. But I was also fortunate enough to learn most of the technologies I know through my previous job. So it's all doable.
Okay, and previously you were?
I was an instructional developer, so I developed online courses for our faculty that wanted to teach online. So I took their content, their face-to-face content, and formatted for an online setting.
Okay. Catherine, do you find much time during your day for professional development, or do you find yourself doing a lot of it on your own?
You mean personally, professional development? I do have flexibility in my day to do some reading, to try to follow the Twitter feed, because I find a lot of stuff via Twitter, and so I would say, yes, I have some time during my day, which is one thing I love. I also do it at home too. Like last night, this is an example. I was at a track meet last night, and one of the teachers found me and said, I know it's not work time, but I have a question for you. And she wondered if Weebly would be a good a good format, or a good tool for students to create blogs, and how you can set up student accounts for all of them through Weebly. And I've used Weebly, but I've never used it in that capacity. So when I got home from the track meet, I played with it at night. So sometimes during the day, sometimes at night. So it works both ways. But luckily, I do have some time during my day, and I appreciate that.
Okay. Do we have any audience questions that might pertain to their work schedule or what their daily work is like? Okay, if not, I'll keep rolling. As far as getting your degree here in the program at UNI, some of the students I've talked to have wanted to know, what are some of the most valuable skills that you feel that you learned here in the program, ones that you may find yourself using at work regularly? Catherine, I'll start with you on this one.
Okay. I think one of the great things about the UNI program was the exposure it provided for me. I was exposed to a large number of Web 2.0 tools, and that exposure, having experience with them, has been very helpful as I've tried to find technologies that work in my classrooms. So that broad base of exposure has been fantastic. And the cohort model for me, the networking that's come from the UNI grad program has been as great of a piece of my professional career as has the classroom work, because you can learn so much from different teachers and what they're doing. And when I have a question, I'm still in touch with my cohort members, and I'm sending emails regularly to them to say, hey, do you guys know of a tool that'll work for that? So the cohort model that UNI offers is, I think, a fantastic way to learn. And that is it becomes your personal learning network, a part of that personal learning network. And then the exposure to the Web 2.0 tools. And we did a lot with instructional design, but I came into the program with 22 years of teaching high school English. I'd been in a classroom for 22 years. Instructional design had always been a passion and a love. So that instruction was a good reminder, but I felt like I had a sound grasp of that. But the exposure and the networking has been fantastic.
And I have to agree with Cathy on that. I think they did a good job providing us with real-world problems and real-world clients that evaluated us in our projects. Mm-hmm. That was valuable.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, as a student, I find that, I'm going through the program and I'm trying to, make sure that I'm pulling a lot from it, so that, when I'm going into the field, I can use the skills that I get here. So what would be some suggestions that you would have for students here who are still in the program, so that we could get the most out of it while we are still here? Farah, I'll start with you on this one.
Okay. Well, I would suggest that definitely connect with your faculty and trust them as your resources. Ask lots of questions, and don't be afraid to be challenged and to be out of your comfort zone. And don't be afraid to challenge your professors either, because we can all learn from each other. Mm-hmm. And that would be my suggestion.
Okay, Catherine?
Yeah, I would agree with what Farah said. I mean, your faculty have been a tremendous resource for me, personally and professionally. And like when you get a project, tackle it and try something new. Like you said, like Farah said, out of your comfort zone, because you learn a lot from failing. I've probably learned more from the projects that failed than that worked really well. So don't be afraid for a project to flop. If it doesn't work, you've learned from why it didn't work. Yeah, and so try to, whenever you get a project, those of you who are in the program, actually try to think of a real thing that you might do in your classroom someday and try it and make it as real as you can. And even if it seems crazy and outrageous, try it. If it doesn't work, why didn't it? If it was too crazy, you don't know what crazy is. You haven't, unless you've been in a classroom for a lot of years. Right now, I'm trying, my first graders are going to do augmented reality with their flat Stanleys. I don't know if it's going to work, but we're going to give it a try. So I'm not afraid to have it flop still. So try new things. Try a program that you haven't used before. Don't go to your go-tos all the time. Try things new. And if it fails, be ready to learn from failure. I guess that would be my advice for you guys in the program now.
Okay. What are some things that you all would say you really enjoy about your career? What are some things you really enjoy about what it is that you do?
Do you want me to go or can you?
Yeah, you can start off. Farah.
I guess I truly enjoy helping others, and this position really allows me to do so. I feel great when I can remove some of the barriers for my faculty, and it's been pretty rewarding. It's a rewarding job for me when I can consult with them, solve some of the issues that encounter technology-wise.
Yeah, and I have to piggyback off that same thing, Farah. The best part of my job, as different as Farah's job, is I get to work with these teachers in an elementary setting, and I get to work with the students. I have relationships with both teachers and students, and I think those relationships are important for learning for the students and the teachers. The teachers need to feel as safe to learn as a student needs to feel safe to learn. And when they have this, that is incredibly rewarding when you watch a teacher do something and they'll say to you, I never would have tried this if I wouldn't have had you here. And that is just such a fantastic, that you are doing something to really affect the learning in the classroom. And it's a great, that's my favorite part of the job is that I'm in the classroom, I'm also in professional development with teachers. And so,
especially since you've been in their shoes for so many years, you can really feel it.
yeah, and I have street cred with the teachers because I've been for 22 years, and I've been in that, and I get what their challenges are.
Yes.
I get what their barriers are, and sometimes, and it's no offense to a tech person, but a tech person who's never been in a classroom does not understand it, because you have more challenges than bells and whistles. It's about managing behaviors. It's about managing learning styles. It's about structuring it so it'll be successful for your students. And I get all of that, and I think that and I've shown that to my teachers, and I think that they appreciate that. And I tell you, my faculty, and I don't know, Farah, if your faculty is, they are so appreciative. They tell me all the time.
Yes, they are.
Thank you, thank you. And I'm like, it's just my job.
Exactly. That's the same for me.
Yeah, and so it's a blessing to work with people that appreciate what you do. And I'd have to say the last favorite part of my job is the flexibility. It's nice not to be run by a bell. After 22 years of being in a classroom, I didn't even know how to move without the bell telling me where to go. And who's going to come see me next. And I enjoy, for the first time in my career, having some flexibility in my day and have it look different on different days. And so I've enjoyed that part of my career too.
Catherine, with your students in that setting, do you find that they're very responsive to the technologies that you're incorporating in the classes?
Okay, Nikki, do you want the truth? When I walk in the classroom, and I'm not exaggerating, they cheer. They cheer. And I'll tell you, in 22 years of high school English, nobody cheered for me. It never happened. But now I walk in, they're like, Tech time, it's Tech Tuesday. I can't wait to go get those computers. It's an amazing thing. And so, yes, they are so enthusiastic to use those tools. And I got a lab of iPad labs is another thing that I've worked. And watching those kids on iPads, I videotaped it and took a video and put it on YouTube because the energy in that room was amazing. And so, yes. Now, the question's going to be, Nikki, will that enthusiasm remain? Will it be, this is their first year one-to-one in the elementary. So the technology integration and infiltration into their classroom is new. So it'll be interesting to me to see this progression. Will they stay as enthused about the technology as they are this year? But So far, it's like being a rock. It's the closest I'll ever be to being a rock star. Is it? So.
Catherine, here's a question for you. Do you also teach what we used to call like the computer classes in a lab, or do you only really come into the classroom to support the teachers and help them with the integration?
That's an excellent question. I see it's Robin. Yeah, Robin, what a good question. And there are a group of teachers here that think that's what I should do, that I should have a class that rotates with music and PE and technology. And in that class, I should teach technology tools like iMovie, GarageBand, and different tools. And then they would apply it. But no, I don't do that. And I'm really glad I don't, because teaching the technology in isolation is not the way to go. And that's been a gradual process for me to convince some of the teachers that. So I always want to start with their curriculum. And that's my first question for teachers. They're like, well, are you going to come in and integrate some tech? You know, they want me to, like, I'm not a magician. I'll say to them, okay, what are your learning objectives? I start with their learning objectives. Well, and I'll say, okay, I think a good fit then would be Glogster. Or I think making an iMovie here with this would be a good fit. So no, I do teach. I have these tech times where I come in the classroom 30 minutes that we started with. So that would be like tech time. But what I teach there are things like digital citizenship. Like today we were talking about how to do website evaluation, how to prevent cyberbullying, how to create good usernames and passwords, those sorts of technology citizenship things that elementary kids need to hear. That would be as close as to pull out tech that I would do. Does that make sense, Nikki?
Yes, I get what you're saying.
Thank you.
Both of you briefly mentioned keeping up with professional development on your own. Has there been any good professional development that you have attended in your own local communities? Catherine, I'll start with you on that one.
Farah, am I talking too much?
I don't know. I enjoyed it.
You need to signal that I'm talking too much, Farah, because you know how I am.
That's why we like
locally. I tell you, you learn so much from conferences. I went to iTech, which is in the fall at Des Moines. I don't know, Farah, if you go to those. I went to the Iowa One-to-One conference where I'm going to go to what they call my favorite one, the TICL conference, TICL, which is run by Perry Lakes AEA. So yes, I learn a lot from, I don't know if that would count as local professional development, but I learn so much from them. And I attend whenever I can. And the school has been gracious to let me miss school. I also, and I urge you young people, are you listening to me? Go and present at these conferences, because you get more from presenting than you do just watching. I've talked a couple people here into presenting, and they've never presented it before, but sometimes a teacher just needs a nudge. And so I've got 2 teachers that are going to present at this TICL conference in June, because they're doing great things, and they need to share that and let other teachers see it. So those conferences I find are a great way to learn. I don't know, Farah, where do you learn secondary stuff?
Well, same through local or distance conferences. I also joined a lot of online webinars, and those have been helpful. And at a local level, I went to the IDLA, Iowa Distance Learning Association last year, and our own continuing education and distance education office or department this year that our own faculty and staff were presenting. So kind of keep connected with our local people. And last year I went to Quality Matters conference, and that's more it's designed for creating online courses, but once you get to know Quality Matters and the idea behind it, you actually can implement it at least in higher ed, you can implement it in blended or even face-to-face classes, because a lot of it has to do with alignment of your objectives and your assessment, and it just makes a lot of sense. So yeah, I mean, any way I can, I look for these PD opportunities.
For your professional development, as far as personal learning networks, other than, I mean, going to conferences and really talking face to face with some of the people who are your peers there, what are some other ways that you extend your personal learning network? Do you use a lot of social media, things like that, Farah?
I recently have joined a group through, I don't know if I pronounce it right, but it's Schoology. 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 It's a learning management system. Cathy, do you know anything about Schoology?
I've heard of it, but I haven't done much with it.
I found a group in that domain that are very interested in flipped classroom, and I joined that group, and I've been learning so many great things, and I'm getting so many great ideas just from that group. And of course, I'm on Twitter following professionals and my peers, and I always get good ideas from Twitter. And in that, those two are my main two groups at this point. I also have formed a professional learning community with 20 faculty here at the College of Ed, and this is a new group. So we're learning from each other, but this is something that it has to be kind of expanded a little more.
Yeah, yeah. And like Farah, I use Twitter a lot. And by clicking on links and finding ideas, I've found some good ideas on Twitter. Facebook has been I follow some people on Facebook. Richard Byrne, I like to call him the Justin Bieber of the tech world. Richard Byrne, he's young looking. He spoke actually at a conference and I got to meet him, but he puts great stuff on Facebook. I love his Facebook feeds. And again, my networking with my friends that I went to my cohort, I still learn from them all the time. I read blogs too. I follow certain blogs. So those are important parts of my personal learning network.
Okay. When it comes to the application process, when you're trying to apply for a position in the field, what are some things that you notice that employers usually look for, or how do you feel that the application process was for you?
I can take that one first, Farah, okay?
Okay.
You know what? You have to show them right off the bat that you know how to handle technology. I interviewed with Heartland AEA, which is out of Johnston, and they had me videotape my first part of my interview to see if they'd see me actually in person. And they had 2 questions, and I first clicked on the first question, and then I had a timer going, so you couldn't really prepare for those questions. You just saw them at the minute and had to record my answer, and you had to read a sheet of the instructions to how to run the technology before you used it. So that was an interesting, even before I could get an interview, I had to learn a new technology. I had to figure out how to use it and use it successfully. And one of the questions people was, how does Iowa Core fit in with technology integration? So your knowledge also plays a factor in getting jobs. To get this job, I had to send in some sort of multimedia presentation. I created an Animoto video, which highlighted some of the tech integration I'd done in my classroom. So that was another requirement. So but having a job, you got to be ready to use the technology effectively and to be able to show with technology what you've done. So Yeah, I would say, Z, I see the chat. That's probably part of the screening process. And I didn't get past the first level, but I did at least get the interview, the videotape, because they didn't videotape everybody. So, that I think you've got to be ready to tackle new technologies, even to apply for these jobs. I don't know, Farah, how it was for you.
Absolutely, you got to know the technology at least to some degree. That's extremely important. But looking at it from another aspect, I feel they also look for somebody that can learn fast and adapt fast, and can have a good relationship with others. So references are important wherever you've been before, and that you are a team player, and that you make a good use of your time. I think you have to prove that.
Yeah, I agree, Farah. And being able, the team player is huge because you have to collaborate with all levels. So
exactly.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. Good point.
A question about teachers and learning objectives. How do you persuade teachers that technology can enhance their teaching and students' learning if they seem to be resistant to incorporating it in their instruction? Cathy, I'll start with you on that one.
That is a good question. So thanks. Was it Robin? Yeah, Robin, thanks for that question. Because that's a challenge you're going to face. And I think Dr. Z told us once, preach to the living and leave the dead alone. And, I have to say I've taken that advice to heart in some ways. Work with the people who are ready to work with you and be available to those who are not so happy. But what I have found is by getting into their classrooms for the reluctant ones, when they see it work and what I do, when I earn my credibility with them, then they're more likely to ask me to help them. So I think by being open and understanding and supportive, you're more likely to help those resistant teachers. And the other thing is that when those resistant teachers see everybody around them doing great things, that's going to be a better motivation for them than me going in and going, why haven't you had me in your classroom? I mean, that's not going to be helpful. So I preach to the living and work with the living and hope the dead wake soon, I guess, is what I think. And I am finding, Farah, I don't know if it's true for you, but I'm finding fewer and fewer resistant teachers.
Yeah, I think you nailed that question.
Thanks, Farah.
And it's by observation when they see others, and word of mouth is also really powerful when they see others talking about it and how it's made it easier for them, then they would be willing to try.
Right. And I think been the key for me, Farah, and I'm sure it's been, I genuinely want to help them. It's coming from my motivation is coming from a good place, from an understanding place, that they have tough jobs and finding time for technology is a tough game.
Exactly.
And I think they appreciate that you have great respect for them and understand their challenges, then they're more likely to ask for your help because you're coming from two places of respect. Mm-hmm. and not looking down my nose and saying, oh, you need to be integrating. No, I know it's tough. And let's find a place whenever it fits your schedule and being patient. And I've seen remarkable changes in this year. I really have.
Okay. Farah, here's a question for you from Marty. What techniques or strategies have you found effective for bringing technology to established higher education courses that are primarily lecture-based?
What techniques have I used to offer the technology?
To bring it, I guess, to help incorporate it into higher education courses that are primarily face-to-face lecture.
Well, at this point, when I see somebody in need of, let's say their course is lecture based, but they also are looking for ways to make a better use of the class time. This actually has been a trend past few weeks. I mean, past few, I don't know, months. We've been talking about flipping the classrooms and blended classrooms, and some of the faculty are trying it, and they are, for example, creating videos, mini lectures or lecturettes, to provide it to the students, and then they use the class time as more discussion based and hands-on activity. So I think they're seeing better results with the students' involvement, because a classroom that was so the students were sitting so passively, now everybody is engaged. So this is something that some of our faculty have started to try out, and we'll see how that goes. Does that answer your question?
Good answer for me. I'm not sure about Marty. He'll probably let us know in the chat. I kind of want to piggyback off of your answer a little bit. So as far as the professors incorporating and noticing that students are more engaged in the higher ed classrooms, have you found that to kind of encourage more professors to start incorporating the technology, Farah?
I think so. I think it's happening slowly but surely. You know, there were several faculty that were totally opposing students bringing their mobile devices like cell phones or iPads or laptops, but now it's started to change. We have a technology called Poll Everywhere, and which allows the students to get engaged right away. Faculty, professors ask questions, kind of survey type to assess their learning right before the lecture, and students answer the questions with their cell phones or iPad or computers. So that's a great way, I think, to start a class, kind of evaluate what they learned from the previous class, and it's a good icebreaker. And so that's another thing that more professors have started to use at our university.
And to piggyback off of that, I just was, one of the big topics that I went to the last conference was the distraction element of technology. And he was presenting research. He was a professor from the University of Missouri. I don't know, Dr. Z, if you happened to catch his lecture, but he talked about what the research is showing now, and he's got a pretty good batch of it, about does one-to-one atmospheres in schools, and this is in the high schools, is it increasing learning? And there was lots of credible data to show, yes, it's increasing learning. The downside of it, that is the distractibility access with the cell phones and so forth. It's also making a distracted learner. And multitasking, they talked about nobody can multitask, but you can switch your attention spans quickly. You can't do two things at once, but we're good switchers, not good multitaskers. And so it'll be interesting for me to see, and I'm not in the post-secondary setting like you are, Farah, with the teachers, but we are already trying to struggle with that distraction piece. And I think that's going to be a challenge for this next generation. How do we balance technology integration and the distractibility factor? And we do have a piece of software called Land School, where I can monitor student computer use, and I can even give them a little message that eyes to the front, and it locks their computer screen and they can't use their computer. And I used that twice today because I would not have been able to get my second graders' attention without it, because there's all these buttons to play with. And we don't have smartphones yet. And I'm not in the high school, but as a high school teacher, I had what they call cell phone daycare. And my students would put their cell phones in a little pocket on days that we weren't using them in daycare, and they'd be fine there until the end of the hour. So I think it'll be interesting to see balancing that about creating these active and engaging classrooms and also keeping the focus
Right.
on what it's supposed to be.
And it's a little harder to control that, you know, in a university. And
I would
so
think.
really, it probably requires a lot of modifications in instruction and how you would use your class time so the students don't even get a chance to use their mobile devices as toys.
Yeah. And no matter how great that kid is, and you know, kids are great, but if there's a buzz in their pocket, they cannot resist checking to see what that buzz is.
Right.
And so that's where I found as a classroom teacher, my best strategy was the daycare. Take the distraction away on days that I wasn't using it. I didn't take it away from my seniors though, because I thought my seniors are going to be in college next year. They need to learn how to manage that and manage their learning more independently. But it's hard to resist a cell phone in any classroom. So I can't imagine but I do believe you cannot underestimate the engagement factor that technology brings. So it's not abandon it. It's just learn to better manage it. That's my challenge I see for the future as I work here.
Yeah, that's probably true for every profession like us.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the final questions that I have for you all would be, what advice would you give someone who someday hopes to work as a technology integration specialist? Farah?
You have to know that you need to be constantly learning. That doesn't end. And be ready to share what you know the best you can. You need to be patient and full. I guess that's true for any job. And be mindful that your clients, in my case, the faculty, are the subject matter experts, and that you're there to help and to support and to get things going smoothly, which doesn't always happen, but that's what you strive for each time.
Cathy?
Could you remind me, is the question just could you say the question again, please?
Mm-hmm. What is some advice that you would give to someone who hopes to someday work as a technology integration specialist?
Thank you. I appreciate that. Number one, be prepared to be a lifelong learner, because the technology is changing all the time, and you can't go, well, I already learned it this way. Tough. Learn it the new way. I mean, you can't let that stop you. So be prepared to be a lifelong learner. Get an advanced degree. I wish I would have done it younger. I did it when I was older, because the experience of staying involved in and pushing your education makes you a more savvy learner and helps you stay up on what's going on. Read. Keep learning and be well-versed in what's happening. And because then when you get the opportunity for a job, you're going to be ready to attack it and do it well. So don't be lazy, because it doesn't work. You got to stay up on it. It doesn't work. You got to stay up on stuff. And luckily, and I think you do, Farah, I've just got a passion for it. I enjoy learning this stuff. I enjoy working with people. So yeah, it might be work, but it's also a passion. I don't know, Farah, do you feel that way too?
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Is there anything else that you want to share with us? Anything else you want to put out there in the universe?
Huh.
Well, just follow your dreams, I guess. It's a very broad advice to share.
But I think that's smart, Farah. I think being passionate, we haven't talked about that, but whatever you do, do it with passion. And I think that.
Do it like you mean it.
Yes, that's the way to say it. Be passionate about it. And never doubt that it can impact learning and impact. One of the hard things I had deciding was leaving the classroom because I loved having an impact on students and that connection I had with kids. And I still have that. I still make an impact on kids, and it's just in a different way. And always value, we need to be cheerleaders for what we do. I don't know, Farah, if you feel this way, but when they go to make education cuts, one of the things I worry about is, we don't really need a technology integrationist, so let's just cut that piece from the budget.
It may be too late for that.
yeah, I hope so. And I know I'm good for one more year, but I
don't know about your area, but the Cedar Falls going 1-to-1. The K-12 schools, and we're preparing our future teachers for that sort of settings,
right,
when they graduate. Yes, so.
And sadly, a lot of schools are going to 1-to-1, but they're not doing anything with their teachers, and that's the thing I've been. I asked my principal to speak at the next conference, and he's a shy guy, didn't want to, but I said, if you could just go out there and talk about what good things you think a tech integrationist has done for your district. I think it's been slow at the K-12 level for them to hire tech integrationists. And then a lot of schools will hand out computers to the teachers the same time they hand them out to the students. And it's not a good strategy. And the more of us that can get out in the field and show our worth, like you see, make yourself indispensable, like you said, Z, in the chat there, I think it's really the best. I do think that my principals are telling other districts, hire a tech integrationist because it makes a difference. In fact, a school board member told somebody, we did it right. They hired a tech integrationist when they were going to go 1-to-1. And I think when we make ourselves valuable, then we show the world that that this position's needed, and more school districts will finance it and create it.
And once they have that position, then they wonder, how do they do it without them? Exactly,
Farah. Yeah. I'm surprised it took colleges as long as it did to hire tech integrationists, with the stuff. And so it's continue to work, make yourself valuable, important. So you think that all 1-to-1 programs should come with tech integrationists, Z? Is that what you're asking? Yes, I do. And it's not to overrate myself. It's because I know what it's like to be a teacher, and you're overwhelmed. Your job is about paddling water to keep up with your daily. And then they throw the laptop in on top of it. You can't do it alone.
Right.
It's to be fair to those teachers. Give them somebody who's there to support them. And you know what? That would be, I think, what my teachers would tell you. We love having Cathy here because of that. But they don't have to do all that work because they have so much on their plate anyway.
And the last thing you want the teachers is to struggle with technology instead of focusing on their content and delivery.
Yep, exactly. Like you said, they're the content experts. Mm-hmm. I'm the one here to empower you to do your job in a more efficient and a more powerful way. And sometimes, not all the time, sometimes that involves technology. And I recently saw a graphic, I don't know if you've seen it, Farah, but it's like a pencil. And then some people are the erasers. They want to erase everything that we've done. Have you seen that? No. And then some people are I saw it on Twitter and somebody shared it at a class I was at. And then some people at the point are the lead, the leaders. But the majority of us are the would. They would do it if we had support. And I think there's where they would do it if they have support. And that's a huge part of a pencil, and it's the huge part of teachers, I think.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
Wow. Ladies, I'd like to thank you so much for making time out of your day to come and talk to us. I'd say that I myself have gained a lot of perspective from this conversation. And I hope that, we'll be able to have more professionals like you who will be able to come in and talk to us and be willing to let us know what it is like out there in the field. Just to wrap up, I want to tell everyone that yes, the recording will be available later. We are now, I'm now posting the link to our feedback form. And we ask you just to go to the form and give us some feedback to let us know once again how we can improve the webinar series to make it even better. I'd like to say thank you to IDLA for making it possible for us to make these connections with the alumni from our school and our program. We'll be hosting some webinars soon in the future, so we'd like to let you all know and keep you in the loop about when those will be. So if you just leave your email address in the feedback form, we'll be sure to get to you and let you know. So signing off for now. Thanks for watching.
Thanks, Nikki.
Thank you.